Well, hey there, folks. Just like how only you can prevent forest fires, only you can prepare yourself for what's ahead on this podcast. But before we hike into the woods of horror films and all the terrifying tales they tell, you should know that on this show, we'll be taking a deep dive into some of your favorite scary movies. But be warned, there will be spoilers hidden behind every tree stump. So if you haven't seen the movie we're talking about, well, you should probably circle on back to the trailhead, partner. Not only that, but things can get a little, let's say, explicit around here. You'll hear strong language, and those opinions of ours, they can be as sharp as a bear's fangs. So remember, only you can decide if you're ready for the journey ahead. So stick around if you're prepared to face all those spoilers and listen to all that strong language and entertain some seriously bold takes. Otherwise, tread lightly. You've been warned.
What time is it? Well, it looks like day is about to pop in. It's about 4:30. Doc, that's $800. Aren't you going to count that?
I trust you.
Boy, ain't many people ever said that to me before, Doc. You're a real gentleman. You know that? And a genius besides. Yes, sir. You're a real and bona fide genius. First one I ever met.
It's rare to be appreciated for one's failures.
You mark my words, Doc, you're going to go down in history as a great man.
Hi, hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Monster Madness, a podcast dedicated to, you know it, all sorts of creatures, features, and beyond.
I thought it was anal bead reviews. Have I been at the wrong show this whole time?
Yeah, haven't you noticed in like 6 years we haven't talked about anal beads once?
I'm a very patient man.
Well, as you can see, the anal bead connoisseur has joined us.
Anal bead champion of Wisconsin.
New merch idea. You can find Monster Madness on all your favorite podcasting platforms, social media sites, and things of that nature. Matt streams video games, blah, 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 blah. You know, the socials. They'll all be listed in our show notes if you're interested.
I can't stop thinking about the fact that we would have anal beads that spell Monster Madness, and every ball is a different letter, and then you're ripcording your lady friend just to spell our podcast name.
Or male friend, or non-binary
Correct.
friend.
Your partner. Sorry, just the thought of just boop,
No.
M, boop, O, boop, N. I wonder what's next. Boop, S.
God, this podcast name is so long.
If you think it's long, I got the beads inside me.
Because you can't forget the word podcast, too. It's not just Monster Madness. It's the podcast.
We might have to abbreviate somewhere in there. Or it's just MMP.
No.
For the less experienced anal bead connoisseur, it's just the starter line.
Similar to Patreon, there will be tiers.
The tiers.
Tier 1, MMP.
Oh, fuck.
Tier 2, Monster Madness Pod.
No, it'd have to be Mon Mad Pod.
Mon Mad Pod.
And then it would be, Monster Madness.
There it is.
Fucking, we call that the knee buckler.
Jesus, that's just
To
awful.
someone out there, that is their idea of a really good Friday night. I am not here to kink shame. Uh-oh.
Once upon a time, someone in my family told me a story about another person in my family that they won't name, but I'm pretty
Aunt
sure
Susan?
I knew who it was. Way to go, Aunt Sue. I actually did have an Aunt Susan. Well, she was like a best friend to my parents, but either which way.
Have you ever read or seen the movie Choke? Have you read the book Choke or seen the movie Choke?
I've read the book Choke, yeah. It's been a long time though.
So I read the book and watched the movie. I haven't watched the movie in a really long time, but Aunt Susan getting start like an old fucking Black & Decker push mower reminded me of the scene where he's got the anal beads that won't come out, and they're giving him the Heimlich in the police station, and he just shits everywhere because it finally pops out.
I forgot about that.
Friend of the show, Seth, has certainly turned this off by now.
Come back. Come back.
Can you put a disclaimer in there and be like, if you don't want to, just fast forward to 5 minutes in if you don't want to hear about gratuitous anal bead discussion. Deep dive on butt stuff.
How does he listen to this show? Even a little bit.
It's fine. He's been one of my best friends for like 15 years. It's fine.
So we're going to have two sets of anal beads. It's going to be the Monster Madness and the Seth, friend of the show, Seth.
So that's the
You
new
can wear
buffer.
them.
As like a necklace, a shawl.
Yeah, there you go.
Wear it to your high school or college graduation, any graduation you're interested in, actually.
Yeah, because that is a feat you should be proud that you accomplished.
Instead of
that.
throwing your cap, just rip them out.
That just.
We might need to pivot away from this because I'm having too many great ideas that I need to say.
I mean,
I'm not currently I don't currently have more, but I can come up with a couple.
well, going back to my story, so relative told me a story about another relative that had to go to the emergency room because they had some anal beads that got stuck.
Ugh.
And I'm like, are you I don't know.
Okay.
I
Okay.
didn't ask questions.
I was like, I don't know the schematics, whatever. The
Of the
schematics of
anus?
anal beads. No, I understand how a sphincter works, but it's like there has to be some sort of failsafe that you had to probably consciously go past, like a fucking hook or something that shouldn't go inside your butt. I'm
I
getting the
mean-
heat of the moment, though. You might just be pushing a little too hard.
Well, this also was probably the 80s, so they may have just been,
Ooh, anal bead technology's come a long way in the past 45 years.
oh my God. It has been 45 years. Oh no.
Yeah, let's not forget. I turned 40 this year.
Oh, I
born
didn't
in
forget.
85. I didn't
I-
either.
I have
Bored in my
ideas.
back.
Or my arthritis.
Hey,
So
I actually feel pretty good. That's why I'm drinking, so that I can repeat the cycle. And
There
then
we
we get a
go.
rotisserie chicken when we're done with this.
fucking right. So I don't have really much to say, but I do have something that fucked my Jiminy Cricket GBs. I'm so sorry, Seth. I'm so sorry.
We did have a very in-depth conversation on blind, full force supporting your friends, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, you've had conversations with like that with him a couple times because I remember you
Yeah.
showed me a text where you sent me something super random and I was just like, okay, when are we doing it? And he was like, wow, she just follows you blindly. I'm like, that's loyalty.
Well, no, it is, but that's because like Seth's kids play sports, and if they have a
Mhm.
fundraiser, I basically just say, tell me what I'm buying and how much to send you.
Oh, I know. I see your Venmo.
Yeah, I text Dylan today, and I'm like, hey man, Venmo's gonna start to think that you're paying me for friendship because we're going to a bunch of concerts, so he like paid me for all of it.
Are you going to Disturbed?
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw because I had to Venmo Brooke earlier, and I was just like, I saw the Down with the Sickness thing. I was like, I think they're gonna go see Disturbed probably.
Yeah, and then a week from tomorrow, we're seeing Dr. Phil, Adam Ray as Dr. Phil.
Oh,
He's in Milwaukee.
I was so confused.
Yeah, I saw the look on your face. Yeah,
I didn't know that he like toured.
he might. I don't know.
What is Dr. Phil doing? He's like 90 years old, isn't he?
I think he still has the TV show. He does show up because Adam Ray does Dr. Phil shows every like weekly, I think, in LA, and Dr. Phil has shown up. It's on the net. There's a Netflix special that Dr. Phil shows up to. Highly recommend watching it.
No.
Anyways, something GB'd your Heebies and Jiminy your crickets.
Yeah, Ben and Jerry's tiramisu.
Oh yeah, I fucking yeah.
That's dangerous.
That's why I don't get Ben and Jerry's anymore. So back to Seth, because you know he's kind of a staple in my life. We used to do ice cream Saturdays.
I love that.
So it was like you're allowed to have 1 pint of ice cream on Saturdays, which ultimately turned into me just gaining weight because I was not doing anything different, just still eating full pint of ice cream every Saturday. But like when we would go out of town for trips and shit on Saturday, we would go get a pint of ice cream. So I have to stop because if I get a pint, I'm gonna eat a pint.
Understandable.
Yeah.
It's like Pringles, once you pop, can't stop. But yeah, I never had their tiramisu, and the only reason I got it is because they didn't have the Buzz Buzz coffee one, which is my all-time favorite.
I can't even get it because I live in squalor.
So sad. How many calories do you think is in the tiramisu one? Like if you eat the whole
Oh,
pint.
1,200, easy.
Oh yeah, you hit the
Yeah.
nail right on the head.
Yeah.
Fucking 1,200
Yeah.
calories.
I don't like that I was like on point, but I know that all Ben and Jerry's have at least 980 up to probably a good 1,400.
Oh yeah, that's a full day's worth of calories.
1,200. Yeah, sorry, the dirt cake one, 1,220 calories for the entire.
Yeah, I literally make it stretch like a week. I'll take a couple bites of it and
Oh, that's what a responsible adult should do. I am not a responsible adult.
I mean, fair.
I less than you know, like trying to make fun of myself without also making fun of myself. Like I'm not a completely piece of shit dysfunctional human being. I am able to hold a job and pay a mortgage and shit like that, but also there are certain parts of my life that just do not add up.
I just cannot contain myself around Ben or Jerry.
not only that, but we were supposed to record this yesterday, and then I had too many lunch beers at work and was not really interested in talking. So we were doubling them up.
Cannot tell you how much I loved the fact that lunch beers literally was just like, I can't podcast 8 hours later. I'm like, I understand. I get it.
Well, it was a combination. The end of my day resulted in our network like denying my computer from connecting just out of the blue, only mine. So like all of our desktops and all this shit, like it's all mapped through their network. So all of a sudden it disappeared, and I was like trying to log in. It wouldn't let me. I was rebooting. It didn't work. Like our network guy walked over and jokingly handed me a shitty laptop and then disappeared into the fucking night as we figured out what was going on. And we're like, hey man, you got any ideas? And the joke was that he's not at the office anymore. So it was like the end of my day just wasn't ideal. So I just took a new laptop home. Because that's what you get when you work in IT.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. We're talking about everything other than the movie at this point. I hope you have figured that out. But
we have to talk about this movie. I know.
No, I got diarrhea all of a sudden.
It happens.
I like how you didn't say, oh, go ahead, take care of that. We'll never talk about this again. You just basically said, shit your pants, you piece of shit.
I mean, why do I even have to say it if you're going to say it? Oh, you know something else that fucks? Abbott Elementary.
It's a pretty good show. I'm like halfway, 5-6 episodes into season 3 at this point.
I'm so proud of you. I never have a win with you.
Well, it's easy. It follows the formula of every one of those shows, like The Office and Parks and Rec and all that shit. So I can turn it on and just do something else. So a lot of times, like when I make breakfast, I can turn it on. I can make breakfast and eat just about in the time of one full episode. Who's
your favorite character so far?
I'm awful with names.
Yeah, I know.
I do kind of like Jake, the white teacher. Like
he's hilarious.
The dorky gay guy. Ava's annoying as fuck, but that's the point.
Mm-hmm. She's my favorite.
Kind of a dork. I know exactly who you like. It's the redheaded teacher that is Philadelphia and a female.
Oh, I mean, that's literally like every aunt I have and every like female.
I don't know how you're not an alcoholic.
Yeah, I don't drink, so I'm just the opposite. If I did, I probably would. But no, my favorite character is Ava, the principal. She has so many fucking one-liners that have me howling. There is this one scene where I don't even remember. Janine just like runs towards Ava, and Ava's just like, Janine, why are you breathing so hard? And it just fucking sent me. The way she delivers everything, it's so good. But either which way, Abbott Elementary, if you haven't watched it, it's great. Really good for the times right now if you need a good laugh.
True.
All right. We have to talk about it.
Please.
We're about to step into the strange and slithery world of 1973's Sssss.
Here we have two of the most commonly confused snakes. That is, the snakes themselves are not confused, but we have a tendency to confuse them. Let me put that another way. The difference is, in the case of the poisonous coral, the red and yellow bands touch. Whereas in the case of the non-poisonous king, the red and yellow bands are separated by black stripes. Now, a good way to remember that is the old folk saying, red touch yellow, kill a fellow.
So, I'm going to love that because there's going to be like a solid 2 minutes of just you crying before we cut to the movie audio, and then it starts again and you're just crying. It's great. Right. It's so good. So this movie is rated because I don't feel like saying "sss" over and over again. It's just annoying. It's rated PG. It was filmed from November 1972 to December of 1972. It was released on July 18th, 1973. It falls into the horror and science fiction genre. It was directed by Bernard L. Kowalski. It was written by Hal Dresner and Daniel C. Stripeek? I don't know. It was produced by the Zanuck/Brown Company. It was distributed by Universal Pictures, and the music was by Patrick Williams. We have in our main cast Strother Martin, Dirk Benedict, Heather Menzies, Richard B. Shull, Tim O'Connor, Jack Jing, Kathleen King, and Reb Brown. Some taglines. Terror is ready to strike. Right before your eyes, see a man turn into a cobra. You'll never be the same after. Once this motion picture sinks its fangs into you, you'll never be the same. From them, there is no escape. And in parentheses, for some reason, don't say it. Hiss it. You loved that, didn't you?
Nope.
Do we have a budget?
Too much. $1 million, which
Trusty inflation calculator.
7.1 million.
Jesus Christ.
Right. Well, if you ever start a movie explaining to me where the fucking animals came from, I'm already upset. So that most of that money probably went to the rental of the snakes and shit. And the
100%.
herpetologists.
That's true. And according to my notes, it broke even. It earned approximately $1 million. So congrats.
$1 million too much, if you ask me.
A little bit, yeah. So, Matt, do you want to read the Wikipedia plot of this? Because it was so bad, I did not take notes.
Nope, but I will. Dr. Carl Stoner, a herpetologist, sells a mysterious creature in a crate to a carnival owner. He hires college student David Blake as an assistant, claiming that his previous assistant had left town to attend to a sick relative. Unbeknownst to David or anyone else, Stoner is a delusional man. Stoner begins David on a course of injections I think that's supposed to say purposely as a safeguard against being bitten by a snake. No.
Hip hop anonymous?
Hip hop anonymous? Perpetually? Whatever. He's trying to do it as a safeguard. He's trying to do it as a safeguard against being bitten by a snake in his lab. David's skin slowly starts to change and even peel like snake skin. He begins to have strange nightmares and goes into a coma when having dinner with Stoner, not waking up until a few days later. He also begins to lose weight, but Stoner tells him that there are side effects to the venom. David begins a romance with Stoner's daughter, Christina. Her father objects and insists that she not have any sexual relations with him, not knowing that she already has. Dang, she fucked a snake. I'm a snake. When David wakes up in the morning, he has become green and covered with scales. Stoner takes him to the lab and gives him another injection. Stoner's colleague, Dr. Daniels, arrives to inform him that he has been denied an extension of his research grant. Stoner reacts to the news with indifference. Made suspicious by this, Daniels inspects the property. Stoner hides David in a corner, but David gets enough strength to walk to a window, allowing Daniels to see him. Stoner knocks Daniels out, feeds him to a python, and David collapses. Christina visits a carnival freak show and sees a limbless snake man whom she recognizes as Stoner's previous assistant. Horrified, she races back home to save David, who mutates into a king cobra, brought about by Stoner's injections. Deeming his work a success, Stoner provokes the king cobra from his lab into biting him and dies. Christina arrives home and finds her father's body with a cobra next to him. Growing suspicious, the police arrive and shoot the cobra before heading to the lab, where a mongoose is biting David's neck, attempting to kill him. As Christina screams David's name, the movie ends, leaving their fates uncertain. I couldn't read that fast enough.
I know, and I'm really proud of you that you got through it.
Perpetually? That word's gonna haunt me.
The noise that you're making is what anal beads sound like when they're coming out. I have a couple notes.
Purportedly. I had to use Google.
It's okay.
No one that writes a Wikipedia page knows that word.
That's also fair.
All right,
I'm not even going to try and say it. I'm really glad I didn't read it because I probably wouldn't have been able to do it either. But
that's a dumb fucking word.
I made a couple notes. So the first thing I wrote down was, the fuck is wrong with this movie?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I said, waterbed fucking. And then question, have you ever fucked on a waterbed?
I have not.
I feel like that would be really complicated.
It would be really difficult to get leverage to provide a proper
everything is just, I wish people could see me right now, but you're just like buoying.
Yeah, it'd be, I feel like, I was going to say it would be like fucking on a boat, but I feel like even on a boat it's easier because
the surroundings are solid.
Yes.
You'd literally have to like stretch your whole body out to get some.
Remember when waterbeds were the shit?
My parents had a waterbed and I used to sleep on it after they divorced.
My grandparents had one and I remember I would just go lay in their basement on the waterbed.
Yeah. It was a weird fad. They still exist, but
I'm sure they do.
It's just a weird fad.
It can't be easy to get a waterbed in and out.
No, because you have to fucking drain it.
How do you get the water to said location?
I remember my parents, so I lived in a Philly row home growing up, and their window they had to fish a hose to our front spigot to fill it up.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's complicated. You have to drain the waterbed to get it out.
Drain. I thought you said drink it. I'm like, why are they drinking hose water inside through a window?
Just drinking the waterbed to make
Like
it go away.
fucking
This is
weirdos.
so much water.
Oh, God. Yeah, fuck that.
Here's the thing. Funny story. This story actually haunts Mikey to this day. If I bring it up to him, he shudders. I used to nap just anywhere when I was younger. And I remember me and my dad took a nap one weekend afternoon on the waterbed. And he forgot I had taken the nap with him. I may have gone in there after him or whatever. And he didn't realize I was there. He left. And then my parents couldn't find me. And they start flipping out. So they're screaming all over the house for me. They can't find me. They looked everywhere. I'm not outside. The doors were locked. I couldn't have gotten outside. I was too small. My dad goes into the bedroom, and I had fallen in between the frame and the waterbed and was asleep. And he's like, Urka,
awesome.
you could have fucking suffocated. I every time I think about that, I just fucking, I'm like, all right, I'm alive. It's okay. That was 30 years ago. I'm okay, Dad.
Gee.
But yeah, okay, so my next note is freaky shower toe. Did you see the guy's toe when he got attacked in the shower? How fucking weird his pinky toe was?
No, I hate feet, so I generally just don't look.
I understand, but still,
It's not like that I
was
looked away. I just wasn't inspecting his tootsies.
well, you couldn't miss it. It was overlapping his other toes. Like it was bent and like overlapped. It was weird. I didn't like it. Next note I made was, I'd be curious to know if Kevin Smith ever watched this and it inspired Tusk. Obviously, Tusk came way after this movie. Like,
No, for sure. I'm trying to agree with you in a horrible talking over you kind of way. But think of how like House of a Thousand Corpses is basically the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I still have never seen that.
I love them both. The character, yeah. So it's like whatever. But also, I hated Tusk. But so it's weird to me is you didn't hate Tusk, but you hated this. Actually, you have not told me what you thought of this movie.
Oh, it was awful. It was awful. It actually kind of coincides with my final note. I said, this is the type of movie you would go to see for $1 at the drive-in movie theater on like a Friday night to see like a double feature. It's like, yo, okay, let's go watch some horror movies that we're gonna, just have fun in the experience. This isn't like something that's gonna win awards.
Right.
But yeah, no, I did not care for this movie at all. And I didn't care for Tusk. The first time I watched Tusk, I was like, okay, that was freaky, weird. When we reviewed it for the show, I remember being like, wow, this is fucking ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're yay, nay, or slaying, like right out the gate, it's a slay. I would not waste 99 minutes to watch this again. I will delete it off my Plex. It's not a good movie. It's not even like when animals attack in essence. It's when people get turned into animals and then they attack to, defend themselves.
Yeah, I didn't. It's listed as a body horror, which makes sense now, but fucking.
Yeah, it was just. I can understand if someone who had like a major fear of snakes saw this, they would not like it. I don't particularly care for snakes. If I saw a king cobra coming at me, I would be frightened. But
same.
Not really my cup of tea. So this gets a slay. But then we move on to, would we survive? Now, put yourself in this. You're a herpetologist, and your boss is like, here, we have to vaccinate you, and like just like hit it, and you start turning into a snake.
I'm a slippery little slithery snake.
Do you think you're surviving?
Man, probably not. But I'm trying to like put myself in the mindset of actually being a herpetologist, wanting to do that, then getting a job with some weirdo, and then I have to be like, oh, you're gonna poke me with a needle? Is that cool, homeboy? But there's a certain amount of suspension of disbelief because this guy as a herpetologist should understand that you don't need daily shots or whatever for I'm just going to say that I'm probably going to be smarter than old Dirk Diggler. So yeah, I would survive because I wouldn't fucking stick around.
You're a smart man. That's the correct answer. Because when things get weird,
you'd leave.
We out like shout.
Yeah.
We're not hanging out. All right, so moving on to some monster minutiae, because you actually mentioned a minutia at the very beginning before we recorded that I'm saving for the last that actually ties into the movie that we will be covering this month or within the next couple weeks. So before we get to that one, for the scene where Dr. Stoner first injects David, Strother Martin makes a real hypodermic puncture on Dirk Benedict's arm with the needle. No, thank you.
Dirk Diggler.
Dirk Diggler.
Mhm.
All the venomous snakes featured were authentic, and the cast actually did have to interact with them for filming. Only in the shot where Strother Martin grabs the king cobra's head during the show was a puppet snake being used. The poisonous snakes were not defanged during production. 5 king cobras were imported from Thailand for this feature, ranging from 10 to 15 feet in length. They had been recently caught in the wild and were in good health with full venom capabilities. The snake park milking scenes were real and meant to mimic what Bill Haste did at his Serpentarium in Florida daily. I do not like using the word milking and snake in the same sentence. That just doesn't feel good. The mongoose in this movie was actually a tyra, a member of the weasel family native to tropical areas of Central America and South America. Fooled me, I thought it was a mongoose. The cast was considerably nervous about interacting with the live snakes. Star Heather Menzies said she was able to steel her nerves to work with her scaly co-stars during filming and forgot her original apprehension. However, after the production wrapped, she said she reverted back to her original fear of snakes. For his transformation into a snake, Dirk Diggler, spent up to 7 hours in makeup and in the final stages of the transformation had to be carried to set on a stretcher. Oh boy. A full body shot of Red Brown showering, he's the one with the weird toe, just before his death scene was blurred at the studio's insistence so that the film would maintain a PG rating. At one point during development, Steven Spielberg was asked to direct, but he turned it down. But he was turned down. That doesn't make any sense. At one point during development, Steven Spielberg was asked to direct it, but he was turned down. So someone asked him, and they're like, never mind. There's something wrong with that fact. But this was the last fact that you actually brought up, and it's very, very cool. The first Zanuck Brown production, who later went on to produce the infamous Jaws, only 2 years later. What a jump.
Yeah, good for them. Really moving up in the world.
Yeah. They kept Steven Spielberg in their back pocket too, it seems. So that was good for them. But
I mean, they did 6 movies in between and Jaws.
Anything worth mentioning?
No.
Okay, there you go.
Well, Clint Eastwood directed The Eiger Sanction.
Never even heard of that.
The Sugarland Express, which is a Spielberg movie. I've never heard of it, but
Yeah, no.
and Jaws 2. They did Jaws 2 also.
Nice. Who directed Jaws 2?
Jeanette Sfark.
Wow, wasn't expecting that. I knew it wasn't Spielberg, but I wasn't expecting whatever you just said.
Yeah, French director JeanNotSZWARC.
Yeah, when people spell things at me, I don't know what they're saying, but I appreciate you.
I was hoping that there would be a pronunciation of this person. It's fine. I stopped caring.
Yeah. Do you have anything else you'd like to mention about?
It was dog shit, and my life is worse for knowing that this movie exists.
But look at it this way.
Nope.
Positive spin. Your palate is more refined, and now your film knowledge is even farther expanded. You know what you like and you know what you don't like. Because guess what? Someone out there, this is the movie that scared them the most. They refused to watch it. It, made them afraid of snakes. Or there's someone out there that this is their all-time favorite body horror movie.
Yeah, okay. That person's wrong, and they should feel really bad about themselves.
Well, Jesus. Okay. Well, if you're a listener to the show, we don't feel that way about you, or at least I don't. So please still stick around and give us 5-star ratings.
If you're a listener to the show and this is your favorite movie, please explain to me why it's your favorite movie. I'm not going to shit all over you. I just want to understand how someone could like this. So I'm legitimately curious as to someone how they could like this movie.
But it's the same reason people could ask us that question when we talk about why we like Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving rather.
100%. That's what I'm saying. Is I understand there are things that I like that people don't like, anal beads included. So I just want to understand. Just explain to me your point of view. I won't tell you you're wrong. I'm genuinely curious what redeeming qualities this movie has because I found 0.
But you're never gonna forget it.
Unfortunately.
You're welcome. So yeah, that's going to be because we don't really have much to say on it and it wasn't good. And that's probably, I'm hoping the last really awful movie we have to watch this season because everything else looks pretty solid. Which reminds me, something we can tack on to the end of this episode, and I hope he's listening. We have a new friend of the show. His name is Anthony. I believe he is from the UK. Anthony, if you're listening, please let me know.
Anthony, please mail me hobnobs. Don't actually do it. Hobnobs are so fucking good, though.
I don't know what a hobnob is, but it sounds great.
I believe they're considered digestive biscuits. They're delightful. Anyways.
His Instagram handle is mykindofweird.net, like the word spelled out, DOTNET. mykindofweird.net. He is a curator of My Kind of Weird. He writes about horror comics and bizarre books. Yeah, he reached out. We became Instagram friends, and he said, Ticks, a movie called Ticks, should 100% be on our list.
Mm-mm.
I said, I've never even heard of that movie. I hate bugs, but I'll add it to the list begrudgingly. So we're going to watch Ticks for you. It's not going to probably come out until the summertime.
Fuck! Oh, when ticks are rampant in my backyard, let's watch a horror movie about fucking ticks.
If it's any consolation, they're like, from the still that I saw, because I did a little research, they look like ginormous. So it's not like really like the ticks in your backyard. If they're that big, if they're the size of fucking cats.
No, they're not, because I could fucking pull them out of my hair after mowing.
So yeah, I begrudgingly agreed and I put it on the list. It should be out around July. So sorry, Anthony, you do have to wait for that one. But thanks for the suggestion. Definitely put it on the list. We are happy to hear from you, and we hope that you continue to listen to our show until then. But yeah, that's Sssss. Please come hang out with us next time. We should have, if things go to plan, the next episode you're going to hear, we're going to cover a video game and then a St. Paddy's Day episode, and then resuming When Animals Attack, we will be discussing 1975's Jaws. Why are you laughing?
The way that you said it reminded me of Wayne's World. And then...
Yeah, we got a lot in the bank right now because we are attempting to do an episode every week, whether it be a featurette, because I actually cut off Friday from Featurette Friday because I was like, what the fuck? Why limit myself to Fridays?
No, that's true.
So yeah, next episode we will be discussing a game that Matt played, which is Massacre at the Mirage. Before this, you should have heard an episode on Phasmophobia, but I forgot to mention that during Frogs. And then after that, we hopefully will be able to have time to cover Leprechaun, which I haven't seen, and then we will be talking about Jaws. So that's what's coming up for you the next month or so. It's a lot of shit, but it's fun. I hope you're as excited as I am. Matt's not excited about anything, but yeah, so we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
This movie was a piece of shit.
You so interested in snakes, I got a beauty for you.
Oh, yeah? What kind of snake?
Don't know the name of it, but it's sure the biggest one I ever saw. Fella down at the carnival's got it in his freak show. Half snake and half man. Sure worth a look-see.
Oh, come on. You don't really believe all that stuff, do you?
I've seen a lot of freak shows. Used to be a Donica man with the Westcott Brothers Amusements of the World. 53 years on the circuit. Never seen one like that before.
Well, I'm sure it's just a python made to look like a man.
Those blue eyes sure fooled me. Never heard of a snake with blue eyes.
Pushy doodles.